Hey, welcome to the first ever episode of The Everyday Entrepreneur. This episode is with Matt Roussin. He's got a video production company. We're going to hear about, number one, why he became an entrepreneur, what he loves about all that stuff, but also about his business and how he got started, what are the things he learned in getting started, and some takeaways there. So enjoy the episode. Matt, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thanks for helping me. So the cool thing is when I had this idea for this series, I said, okay, I know nothing about video. I know nothing about all these things, but I have this concept. So the first person, I think the second person I had told about it at all, maybe was Matt Roussin. And because I texted him and said, hey, I need some advice on some equipment I would need or how to do it and some expertise in that area because it's not my expertise at all. So texted him. We met actually that day, I think.
Yeah.
And
had coffee. Yeah.
Yeah, that was about a month ago, and then started running with that, getting everything in line that I needed, and then I was ready to pretty much get going. And then he was in Russia for 2 weeks. He just got back from Russia, which is cool. Had an awesome trip there and did some really cool stuff there. Was gone for 2 weeks, 10 days?
Yeah, just about 12 days. So
12 days,
just
that's
under
awesome.
2 weeks.
Cool. So which actually gave me some more time to get everything set up and my website and all that stuff. So thanks for being on. So after we had met that day, he said, hey, whenever you're going to shoot your first one, let me know because I can come out, I can help you set up lighting and all that stuff and get everything working good. And I said, perfect, that'd be awesome. And I thought, well, why don't I just interview you as my first entrepreneur and make it a combo deal? So appreciate you being here and all that stuff. So first of all, why don't you tell people about your business, what you do, the industry you're in,
absolutely
everything.
Well, first off, the coffee's lured me. You got me.
You made him some coffee.
Mike makes a mean mocha. Actually, it was a latte, but.
Yeah, well, he texted me and said, man, I am dragging, still jet lagged, right, from your trip in Russia. So when you got here, I said, let's hook you up with some coffee and get you
ready
going.
to go.
Yeah,
that was a really good coffee.
Yeah, cool.
My business is a video production business, and I started it about 1.5 years ago and have been running with it and growing with it ever since. Basically what I do is I go and help businesses find solutions for their marketing needs in the format of storytelling, which is video. So sometimes it might be a commercial on TV, sometimes it might be for social media, for Instagram or Facebook, or it could just be for their website to help people understand what they do, who they are, and those types of things.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you've had your business for 1.5 years,
Yep.
You said? So prior to that, were you in that same industry, just working for somebody else?
Yeah, I was at a creative agency for just under 3 years, about a little over 2.5 years, and got some tremendous experience that just helped me to understand the industry a lot better. And then prior to that, I actually went to business school at St. Thomas for entrepreneurship. So.
Okay, cool. And they have a great entrepreneurship program there, from what I understand.
Great business school.
Yeah, that's cool. So
the best, and I'm not biased.
So what's some of the main things that you learned maybe at that school that helped you? Obviously, you wanted to go there for entrepreneurship, so you had an interest in entrepreneurship in general. But what do you think now, looking back at now having your business, what are some of the key things you learned through school that helped you, get your business going?
I think I learned a lot of organization and processes of how to start a business, everything that goes into it, from doing financial forecasting ahead of time to make sure you actually have an operating cash flow, to getting creative with ideas and marketing. How do you come up with fun, creative ideas, all the way to even project management. I remember taking project management classes and how do you manage your time. All those things played a huge role of what I do today.
Yeah. That's cool. So let's talk about entrepreneurship then for a second. So what was it about? So when you're working for somebody else, what was it about having your own business, that drew you to that? What is it that have you make that leap from working for somebody else to doing it yourself?
It's a great question. I think, every place every organization you work for always wants to maximize what they can get out of you, right? It's just they're always trying to get more out of you and not always for more pay. And I think the biggest draw about being an entrepreneur is two things. The harder you work usually equates to the higher you're compensated. You get rewarded for your efforts. And then also the autonomy. If I want to work really hard for a month and then take 2 weeks off to go to Russia and not have to worry about, I'm not working for 2 weeks, how is that going to affect me and my cash flow? The autonomy of running your own business is just incredible if you do it right.
Yeah, that's cool. So so when you think of like what are the things you like most about being an entrepreneur, would you kind of put that in that category, like just the freedom of that, or
absolutely
running the business side? Probably all of it, but
my favorite things to do, I love the autonomy is huge, because once you have that freedom of being your own boss and setting your own schedule, it's really hard to come back to 9 to 5 from that.
Yeah.
But the second part is I just love everything about running a business. It's definitely can be overwhelming at times.
Yeah.
But what's so fun is one day you're doing finance and you're in QuickBooks and you're trying to figure out your financial situation and paying people. The next day you're a salesperson and you're out meeting people and you're networking and you're trying to close deals. And then the next day you actually have a project that you did sell that you're trying to execute. So it's wearing all those hats and just seeing how all the different parts of the businesses need each other is what I find fascinating.
Yeah, that's cool. And in entrepreneurship on that side, not necessarily specifically your business, but just from being an entrepreneur, what do you find as being some like the biggest challenges of having your own business?
Biggest challenges being an entrepreneur. The first one is how to manage your time.
Yeah.
Because I think there's right ways to do it. There's ways to be busy, but managing your time is a huge one that you have to learn how to do, of how to be efficient and actually do things that are furthering your business. So that's really important. The second thing is manage cash flow. If you don't have cash flow or not forecasting or planning for times when you might have slower seasons, that's going to be a big struggle for you. Those are the two things that jump out at me.
Yeah, that's cool. So now let's get a little bit more into your industry or your business. So when you started your video production business, what were some of the main things you did to get that started? Like, what were some of the things you had to do? What were the kind of, just initial steps you had to take to get that going? So for someone who wanted to start a business like that, what are some of the things you learned from that?
Well, first you got to file with the state.
Yeah.
You got to choose whether you want to be a sole prop or a LLC, the fun stuff.
Yeah.
But after that, first you have to figure out, okay, who do I want to market to? Who do I want to be? Because in your industry, there's lots of different people going after lots of different sectors. And it's really helpful to really identify of one thing first and then spread out. Kind of like if you ever read a business case study in Patagonia, it's like, hey, we're just going to focus on the really high-end adventurers, people who actually need really high-end gear. And then from that, they actually got a broader base of people who just like, that looks cool, I want to wear that jacket. So for me, it was really just focusing on kind of my target right now is I love, as you can tell from my trip, I love culture and international travel, and kind of really where I'm trying to grow a niche in my business is being able to go to other cultures where businesses like Fortune 500 companies have multiple locations and sites, and be their hands on the feet on the ground of helping to tell that story by understanding the culture.
Yeah.
So that's the niche that I found myself to be in now, but it's taken me 1.5 years to figure that out.
So when you first started, were you had a kind of a broader view, or you kind
of...
Yeah.
When I first started out, I thought I was going to do business consulting.
Okay.
And then after the first year...
Within video or just business consulting in general? Okay.
So I was going to go to marketing companies and video companies and basically consult them on how to grow their business and help them get more business. But after my first year, I had maybe 10 or 15% of my income was that, and the rest was just video production.
Yeah.
And I had to have that like real moment of like, well, I wanted to do that, but this is where I'm getting traction, and I can't ignore that.
Yeah.
So I decided to go in the video route and just run with that.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So, so for somebody, so when you got looking back now 1.5 years, so it's not a crazy amount of time. Some people own businesses for 30 years and all that stuff. But what are some of the things you've learned specific to your industry that you wish you knew a year ago?
You want me to give all my secrets away, huh, Mike? No, I can give away a couple.
Well, we want to help people. That's
I
what
know.
we want. We want to give you some healthy competition.
All right.
To keep you sharp, kind of
All
keep you
right.
on your toes.
If I knew, I would say, one, it's you just have to understand that things take time. I think that's the hardest thing to realize. You think, oh, I've got a really good idea, or I've got a lot of experience in this, and it's just going to blow up right away. And generally, that doesn't happen. It's, in my experience, it's a slow, steady growth, and you have to be okay with that. And you have to really cherish, like, you'll get like one or two clients at the beginning that you may not necessarily go, oh, I'm going to want these guys to be lifelong partners, but they're giving you great work and they're a great relationship. And there's been a couple of clients that I mean, have been a solid relationship for me. That's really, if I didn't have them, I wouldn't be able to be where I'm at today.
Yeah.
So you've got to really, it's like every relationship you get, treat them with the best service that you can, and just honor them and respect them, even if it's not where you want to be necessarily.
Yeah.
You've got to, each level that you kind of grow into, you've got to what's the word? You've got to really be a good servant of what you have.
Yeah.
And knowing that you want to go somewhere else, but you have to be a good steward. That's
Yeah.
the word I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot, the saying beggars can't be choosers. When you're starting a business, a lot of times like you're begging for business.
Yeah.
Like that, the hardest thing sometimes about starting a business is getting the business.
Yeah.
So when you have something that you can, a gig or whatever it is that you can do it well. Don't just say, oh, I'm going to do it, half-heartedly.
Yeah.
But do it the best of your ability, because number one, that can be more business. But then, these days people want to do social media and all this stuff, but still word of mouth is a great way to build a business too.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and reputation and all those things. So, I think that's really, really key. So,
And going off that too, I was going to say the second point would be, you've got to get out of your comfort zone. Like if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you can't just be, well, this is just the lane I want to stay in. At least not right away. You eventually can grow to that point where you're like, I can finally step out and delegate this to somebody else and hire somebody else. But starting out, you're wearing all the hats.
Right.
And you have to be comfortable with that. Like for me, I was not a salesperson at all. I mean, I worked in retail back in high school and did some sales, but it's not my comfort zone. Like I don't thrive on, negotiation and persuasion and like selling myself, But it's something I had to learn to do in order to be successful. And now I actually enjoy it because I see it as more of it's a client relationship building activity where I get to really solve problems for people and get to know people on a better level. And so I've enjoyed it a lot more. But I spend a lot more of my time now. It's almost all relationship building and sales and networking is a big part of what I do. And I finally got to the part where I actually got to delegate some of my production work out. So I no longer do some of the editing work. So I found, like, in order for me to go full-time sales, I had to let that go. So there's a period where my margins went down a little bit, but now they're increasing again because I'm going out and getting the business.
You're getting more. Yeah, that makes sense. And then, I think the other key thing is, like you said, wearing all the different hats.
Yeah.
I was just watching an interview recently, like sales, a lot of people don't consider themselves a salesperson, salesman, saleswoman, whatever. But when you're starting a business, you have to have some of that, like you said, to a degree. But I think for people that are fearful of that, what I've noticed is that when it's their own business, it's easier to sell because your belief is higher in it. It's not like you're trying to sell something that your whole heart's into this now.
Absolutely.
When it's your own business. So selling it, number one, it becomes more natural, but also becomes easier because your belief level in it is a lot higher too, which is what ultimately is going to sell a lot more, get more jobs and get more deals.
Absolutely. And it helps too. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am today without previous experience. If you're trying to jump into this just without any experience, it's not that you can't be done, but you're going to really have to run uphill.
Yeah.
Where by being able to be at the creative agency that I was at for 2.5 years and see, what things how did I like, let me reword that. Depending on how they operated, there's things I thought, oh, I like how they do that. There's things like, I don't like how they do that. I think we could do it this way,
Yeah.
And that's learning all those things, the different ways to operate a business is so, not only on a business side of things, but even in my specific industry, seeing how to work with bigger clients, top Fortune 100, Fortune 5 clients even.
Yeah.
And how that works, so I understand that now, has been wildly beneficial.
Yeah, that's cool. So one more question on entrepreneurship then. So a lot of entrepreneurs either didn't go to school for anything, maybe, a further education, or they maybe went to school for a specific trade or something completely unrelated to what their business as an entrepreneur is.
Yeah.
You went to business or school to be under entrepreneurship.
Yep.
So how important do you think that is to the success you've had, is that, that specific degree? Or do you think that a lot of what you've learned has been more hands-on or through other training?
I would say, to me, going to entrepreneur school or going to business school is invaluable because I learned it. What it did was it cultured me to be more disciplined, and it helped me to understand. It put me at a higher caliber of work ethic and more diligence. But I think it all depends on your determination, because literally, going to college is 4 years of education.
Yeah. And
you can do the same thing on your own if you're actually willing to put in the time and the work. But it just depends on how dedicated you are, and if you'll actually, it's like basically school is like, hey, I'm going to pay a babysitter to make sure I do my homework. But if you have enough strength and willpower to do that on your own, that's how many entrepreneurs do we know that didn't go to school?
Right.
Tons of them.
Yeah, probably majority.
Yeah. I know it's always
or
ironic.
at least not for that, not for entrepreneurship. Yeah. But
I always thought it was ironic going to school for entrepreneurship. People would always kind of laugh at that, but I learned a lot, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Even you hear all the time like failures. That's the best way to learn too.
Oh yes.
So it's not like you learn from you should learn from everything you do, whether if it's school, whether if it's hands-on, whether if it's from failing, whether if it's succeeding. Everything you do, you should take, even if it's like I walked into a meeting not that long ago and it was kind of basically a sales pitch for some courses that this company was doing. And the people who were teaching it, the people who I could tell like it wasn't something I was going to be interested in.
Yeah.
But I sat there and said, okay, number one, I'm not going to waste my time to I'm going to take something out of this. I'm going to really dig deep into what they're saying to see if there is something that here I can take out of. So whether if it is school, like I said, whatever it is, you got to focus on what you can learn, what you can take away, how you can grow. Otherwise, it's not going to work probably very well.
It's a great point, and I think the other thing to take note of too is that school definitely, the one thing I like about school is it gives you a breeding ground to fail, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's going back to one of your earlier questions. I think it's so important for people to make attempts and to fail early and fail. They used to say in school like fail early, fail often, or whatever. But it's all because it's like it's a safe place and environment to you have to learn to fail so that you learn how to push the boundaries and understand that it's okay to in order to sometimes get the best idea. So in what I do, we tell stories, right? Mm-hmm. In order sometimes to find the best story, you throw out ideas that are dumb. Yeah. Or ideas you're like, that was stupid, I can't believe I said that. But you have to get those out of the way so you can get to that really solid idea. And you can't be afraid to throw things out, even if they don't sound like they'll be relevant, because then somebody else will go, that's dumb, but what if we did this? And they'll leap off of it. Mm-hmm. And so there's so much success that I've seen that's come from failures, whether it's a failed idea or even a failed business, or trying something in like me, trying consulting and going, oh, well, I guess I'm going to do this full time. If I would have never at least tried that first, now I know that I'm just going to stick in this lane. That box is checked off, right? So if you've ever read the book Good to Great, it's all about refining focus. And it's really about what can you focus on, what can you say no to, what can you say yes to. Because if you really want to be great at something, you can't be good at a handful of things. You have to choose one thing. Yeah. So. Yeah,
I agree with that. So that's awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you having. Let's see if we have any maybe questions.
Perfect.
On Facebook or Instagram. If you're watching live, let's see if there's anything here. Take this off here. If you got any questions, go ahead and pop them on. Cool. Some good support for sure. Some good comments. No questions there on Facebook. Instagram, I don't see any either. So we're going to leave it there. Cool. So, but I appreciate you being here, especially with all the jet lag and everything, catching up on your business, everything you missed while you're gone, all that stuff too. But last thing then, so I'll put like on my website, maybe some contact information if anyone wants to contact you for business or, to kind of work you do and all that stuff. Who would be right now like a perfect client for you?
Right now, I think the perfect client is somebody who is trying to grow their sales, and maybe they're doing a lot of communication that's redundant, because when you tell a story about your brand, it does two things. One, it describes why you do what you do. It's like Simon Sinek's Golden Circle. Why you do what you do, how you do it, and what is it that exactly that you do. Mm-hmm. In a video format, so that way, instead of having to retype an email, send it off, or try to get somebody we do this, when you put it in a video, it just, when people are done with it, it helps them go, I get it. And not only that, but it puts a feeling to it. So they're like, I don't know what it is, but I really like this guy. Mm-hmm. It helps you find the people who you associate the most with. Yeah. So somebody who's looking to increase their sales or reduce the redundancies in their business, that'd be a great way to reach out. Or somebody who's just, if you're trying to drive sales for a particular product or service that you have, you're like, we really want to let people know we do this. That's another great opportunity. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Well, we'll have his contact information on my website, michaelwj.com. You can go there once the podcast is posted there. I'll post links to your contact information, all that stuff. And then you can also subscribe to the podcast. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel. Continue watching and listening to more episodes. So appreciate your time, Matt. Thanks for being here, and keep up the good work, man.
Awesome.
All right. Sounds good, bro.
Thanks, man.
All right.